Hello, I'm Bill Donnelly from SAPPHIRE Technology, live from London. Well, actually, no, I'm not really. We decided that might be too much of a stretch for the technology, so you have to put up with a recorded version of me, I'm afraid. So we all know there's been huge developments in graphics in recent years. The arrival of DualX 11 has meant that we've supported shader model 5, we've increased the possibility for tessellation, we can do multi-threaded communication with the CPU core and a whole load of things. But whichever technology you choose, all of those things are possible now. What I'd really like to talk about is what makes SAPPHIRE different as a graphics vendor. What strengths do we bring to our products that you won't find with the other manufacturers? So the kinds of things I'm going to be talking about are what we can do with silent cooling, what we can do with multi-screen technologies, and a whole load of different innovations that SAPPHIRE brought to the graphics market. So let's talk a little bit about silent cooling. There are lots of applications for graphics where you don't really want the noise of the card to impinge on what you're doing. And SAPPHIRE was an innovator in this respect. As far back as our 9800 Pro model, we introduced a card that had a totally silent heat pipe based cooler. Actually, the first one was in partnership with Zellman, a name which is very well known to many people. Since then, we've evolved a whole family of silently cooled cards, which we call our Ultimate series. And the latest model in that series, the 7770, we can show you here. In addition to being totally silent, these heat pipe based cards have no moving parts, they have no fan, and a lot of people would use those in mission critical applications where a mechanical failure would not be acceptable. So what do we do if we have a higher performing graphics card but we still want to keep noise levels to a minimum? Well, over the years, SAPPHIRE have had a number of solutions for this, but the one for which we're probably most famous is something called VaporX. VaporX is our name for a technology based on vapor chamber cooling. Vapor chamber cooling came partly from the space industry and partly from the blade server industry, where to get the heat away from high-performing chips, they had to come up with an innovative solution. So how does a vapor chamber work? Well, let's try to imagine an analogy that will help you to understand the structure of it. If you imagine a frying pan with a glass lid and we're boiling some water inside. So the heat comes from the bottom of the pan, boils the water, which vaporizes, the vapors rise and condense again on the lid of the pan. They then run down the side of the lid, back, and it becomes a cyclic process. That's pretty much how a vapor chamber works. Actually, the liquid is water, and because the chamber is evacuated, it will actually vaporize at a lower temperature. Of course, the module has to be able to work in a whole lot of different orientations. We can't just keep it flat. So there's a very clever wicking system inside which controls the flow of the liquids and vapors inside so as to move always the vapors away from the hot side and back. So when we apply a vapor chamber module to a graphics card, it's a very thin, flat module that we sit directly on top of the graphics processor chip to get the heat away as quickly as possible. And then the other side of that, we have a more or less conventional heat pipe and heat sink assembly and some fans to take the heat away completely. But because the heat's accelerated away so fast from the surface of the chip and can be distributed by the heat pipes, it means we can actually use lower speed and lower noise fans, so the resulting assembly is much quieter in operation than just a conventional heat pipe assembly on its own. So most recently we've introduced some VaporX models into our 7000 series. The 7000 series of course features the graphics core Next architecture from AMD, and the performance has been very well received, but we still need to try and keep noise levels to a minimum for any given level of performance of the card. So we've recently introduced a 7750 VaporX model, and you can see an example here, and the most exciting product that we've got to talk to you about is Toxic and VaporX models at the very high performance end of our cards. We're going to have 7970, 6 gig and 3 gig models, which are the highest performing cards we've ever produced to date. I'm sure many of you are aware that enthusiasts and gamers love the SAPPHIRE products, and the brand that's most associated with our enthusiast products is our Toxic series. The Toxic series was introduced back in the X800 family with this product, which was the first in the market to feature a third-party cooler that gave much higher cooling performance and allowed us to ship the product overclocked out of the box. Since then, we've produced a whole range of our Toxic series cards in each generation, and several of them have used the vapor chamber technology that I've talked about before, our VaporX, together with pre-overclocked out of the box and some overclocking software. Of course, our real high-end enthusiast products are not within the reach of all of our customers, but many of our users like to get the maximum performance out of their cards by overclocking or tuning the performance of the individual card. We have a special software which we call Tricks, which is designed to help people to do that, but to do it safely. Tricks is free to download from our website and allows you to vary several of the parameters of the graphics card and also to store different settings for different applications. So for example, you might want to set a high fan profile and higher clock speeds when you're playing games on your card, but also to set lower fan speeds for quieter operation if you're just watching a DVD or doing some browsing on the internet. You can see from the screen grabs that we've done how Tricks works. You can adjust core clock speeds, memory clock speeds, and even the voltage of the GPU on some of our extreme models. And then you can go on to adjust fan speeds, to save a fan profile, and to save all of those settings to reuse them for different applications. One of the things that's becoming increasingly popular is to use multiple screens for graphics, whether it's for gaming to get a more immersive experience, or whether it's for applications like editing. Video editing or audio editing, you can have huge timelines open, your source files, maybe a web browser, everything all at the same time over a big work area. The solution to this with the AMD environment is something called Eyefinity, which allows you to connect multiple screens to a graphics card in what's called an SLS, a single layer surface. The majority of cards that support Eyefinity allow you to connect the first two monitors with DVI ports, but the third monitor and any additional ones need to be connected to the display ports, which means they have to be either the more expensive DisplayPort type of monitor or using active adapters, which can be expensive or unreliable. SAPPHIRE's Flex series, which we introduced in the last generation of cards, allows you to connect 3 DVI monitors directly to the card. We've achieved this effectively by building the dongle into the card, and we provide a simple HDMI to DVI adapter to allow you to connect the third monitor directly to the card. So this means on the 7000 series, our recently introduced HD 7950 Flex allows you to connect 3 DVI monitors directly to the card and run Eyefinity. But the display ports are still free, so it actually means you can now connect a total of 5 monitors to a single card and have a single layer surface workspace. The newest member to the family is the HD 7870 Flex, which has 2 DVIs, the HDMI to support the third DVI, and still 1 display port. So again, this one will support up to 4 monitors in Eyefinity mode. You may have noticed when I was talking about the Flex members of the 7000 series family that they have 2 fans. This gives me the opportunity to talk about a new cooling technology from SAPPHIRE, which we call DualX. DualX stands for dual extraction, which is just really to say that we've developed a more efficient way of using 2 fans in a heatsink and heat pipe environment. On this particular family, what we've done is used a series of graduated heat pipes to distribute the heat evenly across the heatsink, which allows then the 2 fans to clear the heat away more efficiently. Because the fans have aerofoil blade sections, they can run slower than a conventional fan, but also run very quietly and move a lot of air very efficiently. The final thing about the design is that we use dust repelling bearings, so for high reliability and long life of the product. It's all about the guys who don't need a high-performing graphics card but are looking for something more general purpose for a home computer or HTPC, but that's capable of supporting all the latest technologies. Well, we have it in the form of our new 7750 low-profile card, and it's truly low profile. It will actually fit into a mini ITX case or one of the home theatre PC cases that you see, but deliver a good graphical performance and even support Eyefinity. So as you can see, we cater for a wide range of products with our graphics cards and a wide range of users and applications. But when it comes to computing for the home or even for the office, SAPPHIRE has a very exciting new solution. This is the SAPPHIRE Edge HD3 Mini PC. Yes, it's a complete PC in this tiny format. We've harnessed the power of AMD's E450 APU technology to deliver a total PC with a power consumption of only around 27 watts. Let me just run through the features. It's got two USB 3 ports here on the front, more USB ports on the back, HDMI for direct connection to your television, as well as a VGA port. And inside we've got a 320 gig hard drive, 4 gig of memory, and of course, totally competent HD graphics. For those of you that think a hard drive is not what I want, we're also going to be offering a bare bones version so that you can retrofit an SSD on your own configuration of memory. My name's Bill Donnelly. Thank you for watching.